it is time for America's favorite news segment. Many people have been asking me questions. Is it okay for me to eat 70 hot dogs at once? What temperature should we keep our house at? Is it okay to be scared? Is it all right if I'm scared? Is it healthy? Welcome to this week's Ask Andrew. The question I keep hearing all month long because it is October. Is it okay to be scared? Is it all right if I'm scared? Is it healthy? What's the science behind it? Well, that's a lot of questions. I'm only going to try to answer one of them. We're going to go here to the haunted hayride of Williamson, catch up with some people, and see why do they want to be scared? What makes us seek out those thrills? Stay tuned.
I'm coming here with some of my coworkers for the hayride. We were excited for it.
Do you come a lot? Like every
No,
year?
I haven't come in probably 10 years.
What makes you guys think, hey, it's Friday night, let's go get scared?
The adrenaline, something to do, something fun to get out of the house.
What do you think it is? Like every Halloween, we seek this out. Like we watch scary movies, we do haunted hayrides.
Yeah.
What's the psychology?
I think people like a fixed scenario where they can be scared without being in actual danger.
What brings you guys here today?
His first hayride.
First hayride.
What are you thinking? You excited?
Yeah, it was fun and scary.
Are you anxious but like excited in a fun way, or like what do you think?
Fun way.
Yeah. What about you? How many hayrides you've done?
This was my first one ever. Yep.
Did you guys finish it already?
Yes.
How was it?
It was amazing. It was good.
Be honest, how many times did you jump?
Quite a lot. It's hard to count them.
Now, what do you think? Do you like being scared, or are you more of like a like cuddle around the fireplace and relax kind of person? Thought-provoking. Thank you for that insight. Give me 2 honks if you're scaring a lot of people. Give me 2 honks if you're just getting started. Give me 2 honks if I should be scared. Okay, so we spoke to a lot of people here about why they like to be scared, but I actually wanted to learn more about those health benefits or lack of them. Find out a little bit more what happens inside when we go get scared. Take a listen to this.
So it's spooky season, as we're all well aware. And during this time of year, more than any other, I think we seek out some scares, or maybe people try to hide away from it. But either way, it's more present in our life, whether it's a scary movie or going to a haunted hayride or a haunted house or anything of that nature. And I'm just wondering if when people are out there pursuing those frights, what's that doing for us while we do it? Is it good to be scared sometimes? Is it or is it something that limit your scares? Just in your own words, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's healthy and it's good. It's good for each person to do what they find to be fun. So there's some folks who may not want to explore those things, to be scared, and they kind of veer away from it. But I think those folks who enjoy it, I think it's healthy and it's good to do. It's good for folks' mental health. It's good for folks' ability to connect with their community. And I think it's good. I think if people like to go to scary hayrides and the scary haunted houses, I think it's great.
Yeah, it is. There's something that happens, right, when you get that jump scare. You're walking through the haunted house and the thing jumps out at you. Whoa! What's that actually doing? Is there any science of what is that? What's happening inside of us when that occurs?
Yeah, I think of it like the fight or flight response. So our body has this kind of 2 separate systems, this like autonomic system where we either are in fight or flight mode or we're in rest and digest mode. And so fight or flight, we may have variations of that throughout the day, When we're exercising, we're in fight or flight mode. If we go to a scary, like a haunted house, we go into fight or flight mode. But that's a natural thing to do, and it's natural, and it's something that the body has these normal responses where the heart rate will go up, and people kind of feel that, and they kind of feel that sensation in their chest. Their heart rate goes up, their blood pressure can go up. They might feel like warm or sweaty, and that's this response that our body has to fight or flight, to these like adrenaline or catecholamine release, where it's a natural part of the system. And I think like an extreme of that is if you're running from a tiger in the woods, you'll have that fight or flight response. Your body has that ability to mount a response.
Yeah, it's funny because there's different kinds of like ways to be scared. So there is that like you said, that jumping out. Then there's that like slow build. You watching the horror movie and it's like, oh, something's coming. I can feel what it's almost the build up to that release of the fear there. Is that all part of like our body is reacting to the anxiety of something feels like it's about to happen?
Yeah, I think it's our body. So what's happening like naturally in the background, it's our body kind of getting ready to run or get ready to, get away from danger. And I think it's something that's natural, and some people like that sensation. There's some people who don't and try to veer away from situations that they might feel that way because they don't like the way it makes them feel. But I think if it kind of gives them a rush and they feel okay with it, I think it's a natural and it's a healthy thing to seek out, are these thrills. When people go to amusement parks and they go on rides and things, those are like natural ways that you can feel that sensation, that fight or flight response. And it's natural and lovely. And if you like doing it, I think it's good. There may be situations where folks might not want to take those chances, or might not want to put themselves in that situation. I think it's always important for the person to think about themselves, and if they don't like the sensation, to not do it. If they don't like it, then don't force themselves to do it. But then there's also like clinically from a medical standpoint, if they are being worked up for a condition. So if they're actively seeing a cardiologist, where they're being worked up for exertional chest discomfort, and we're worried, is that angina? Or if they're being worked up for heart failure symptoms, if they're actively being worked up for a condition that's of a concern and they're following with a cardiologist acutely, or if they were just hospitalized, if they just had a heart attack, if they just had a stroke, those periods in someone's life, it's probably not the right time to go out and seek these thrills. But if someone's healthy and they're living their life and they want to go out and have these thrills, it's good and it's natural, and it's a good thing for them and their body to do.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for bringing that up. Even if you love these thrills, and it sounds like for the most part they're good for you, there are those exceptions where it's like, listen, maybe just skip the haunted hayride until you're past XYZ if you've just had a surgery or a heart complication or anything like that. There are some things where it's like, maybe consult with the doctor before you book that, you grab that ticket for the haunted house.
Right, exactly. So in medicine, we're a big proponent of folks knowing themselves and being their own best advocate. And we, as the doctor behind them, are the support system to them. So we can always kind of help advise, is now the right time to do those activities? And the person, every person has to kind of decide for themselves, is now the right time in my life to do that? So for most people, the vast majority of people, it's fine. It's great. It's a good community building exercise, and it's good for their mental health, and it's a fun thing to do. But there are going to be slivers of folks, like a sliver of population, where maybe that's not the right time, and they have to know that about themselves. They have to be their own best advocate and say, I just had open heart surgery. Now might not be the time to go on a haunted hayride. And the doctors, their team can always help them work through that. But for the vast majority of folks, if they feel well and they feel comfortable doing it, we fully support them.
Yeah, and you specialize with heart things related to the heart. And is there advice, like, it's not even just maybe scary, it's thrills in the sense of some people want to go jump out of an airplane, they want to go skydiving, bungee jumping. There are thrill seekers all around. I'm not one of them, but they're out there. And there is something, I think, psychologically, people enjoy the thrill of getting that adrenaline going. But again, is that something you have to consult with people in your line of work?
I think if someone follows with a cardiologist, I never think it's a bad idea to run by, we're planning a trip or we're planning to do skydiving or we're planning this exciting moment in our lives. So either bring it up at their upcoming visit or to send us a message and say, this is what I'm planning. Would this be a good idea? I never, I think it's always a good idea to check with their healthcare team. But it's kind of few and far between where we give them restrictions, where we say now is not the right time to do that. And the patient tends to know that before we do. They kind of have a sense of themselves, and they kind of think, I'm having these exertional chest discomfort. I'm filling up with fluid, signs of heart failure, and I don't. Now's not the right time to do those activities. But if someone feels well and they're not being worked up for an active cardiac or neurologic or other concerning workup at the moment, it's something where we often give people no restrictions and we say whatever feels comfortable and right for you. So I have folks who come back and they tell me all about their travels around the world and tell me about skydiving. I can picture one woman in her 80s who goes skydiving. That was one of the things she wanted to do. And even everything was stable from a heart standpoint. And she had a great time. It's something that's what she wanted to do. So I supported her and there wasn't a reason to say no.
Yeah, and that's great if they can, because like you mentioned, it's actually a great release. I think there's something to it that actually could be healthy. My theory why I wanted to reach out is that there is something about having that release of tension when you're challenging yourself, whether it's going through a haunted house or jumping out of a plane. That sort of buildup of anticipation and the release of I did it. That I think is probably good for just mental health too. Of this sort of knowing you can overcome these sort of perceived challenges. That's why thrill seeking, I think, is so sought after.
Yeah, I think everybody's different. So I think you might fall into the category where you enjoy those things, which is great and it's healthy, and I would fully support it. There may be some folks who don't love that sensation and aren't interested whatsoever. And so I would put it in the category of if it feels right to them and they want to do it and there's not a reason from a medical standpoint that they can't do it, then we fully support it and it's good for them, it's good for their mental health, it's good for that community building spirit. But it really, we kind of individualize it person to person, and it wouldn't be something where I would tell someone it's good for you, go do it. I would prescribe it as a social prescription to say, really, you should sign up and do more skydiving or do more haunted houses. It's really, it's individualized to the person. And as long as there's not a contraindication to do it, we fully support it. And we say, have fun with it and have a blast. Yeah.
Well, Doctor, this is great information. Curious, just since I have you here, are you a fan of haunted houses and all that? You get into Halloween?
I'm somewhere in between. So, this past weekend I took my kids to a haunted hayride, but it was very kind of a meek haunted hayride. Some things jumped out, but you were pretty, you knew it was all in good fun. I don't think I would go on one where it was much more scary than that. I think I'm kind of in a more meek, I'll go on the hayride. Yeah, so it depends on the scenario, but I don't think I'll go skydiving. No.
Not going to be jumping out of a plane to land at Highland Hospital anytime soon.
No, I don't think so. No thanks. But I would support it if you wanted to. There's no
Right. All right. Well, that is fair. And this was such a fun conversation. Thank you for being willing to talk about it.
Okay, so now we know what happens to your heart when you get scared, but what about your brain?
Some people at least seek out these thrills during the Halloween season.
Yeah.
And the question I have is being scared, is it good for you? What's it do to you? What's happening inside?
Right. Or probably the better question is well, why would someone even want to do that? Right. I think so. It's interesting that this idea, and there's so many different angles as to why we do this to ourselves, or why certain people do this to themselves. Some people are they want nothing to do with it. Right. And it is a very individualized thing. And there are reasons for that. But for sure, when, we go to a haunted house, or we're watching a scary movie at this time of the season, there's certainly a whole lot that happens in us that kind of plays into why some of us may want to do that. These quote unquote safe scares. And at the end of the day, when we go to, say, a haunted house, or we are going to watch a scary movie, our brains are on autopilot. It's one of the fascinating things about our brain. We don't think about when we digest food. We don't think about a lot of the things our body does automatically. And that's kind of how our fight or flight system works. And, when we go and watch, for instance, a scary movie, or we go to a haunted house and you're walking around, or a hayride, our brain goes through a bunch of different processes that you don't even have to think about, right? And none of us do. Immediately, upon a sort of perceived threat, if you will, if you want to call that, in any of these scary situations, a little part of our brain called the amygdala, fires, and that's our emotion and fear kind of part in our brain. And then, in response to that detecting that threat, it sends a signal to another part of our brain, our hypothalamus, which then signals another part of our body to basically, trigger our glands to secrete hormones, which are adrenaline and cortisol. And so once those get secreted, that's where then our body undergoes, we can have physical changes and mental changes. And we can talk about some of those changes.
Yeah, I think it's the science behind being scared. How fascinating! It sounds like you're just sort of scratching the surface of it. But yeah, I think you teased it well there. What actually starts happening inside of you? What are those body chemicals or reactions that we're feeling in that moment of when you jump scares, or maybe even the anticipation building up to the jump scare?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, and it's sort of, when we talk about how our body reacts to these threats innately, it's, our body is going to undergo these changes. So immediately our brain perceives this scare, and that emotional side triggers then this release of adrenaline and cortisol, which then is going to go through our body, and it's going to cause all these physical changes, right? So our heart rate goes up, our blood pressure goes up. You'll breathe, faster and more shallow. Your pupils dilate. There are reasons for this, right? You allow more light in, allows you to respond. Blood flow in our body gets diverted from parts of our body like the skin, and gets diverted to the muscles and to the brain to kind of like allow you to react. So what results is basically that clammy feeling in the skin, or the cold sensation. You get goosebumps. Our brain, you kind of aren't really, you ever been in a situation where you get scared and all these changes are happening, you don't really think very clearly, right? So you're not making good decisions. So those are all the sort of the changes that occur with like the sort of safe scare. And the interesting part is that as much as we talk about this, right, and this is all an ongoing process, this is all fast, right? We got wires in a box, and these things fire and they go. And just as equally as fast as we get that immediate response from our brain about this safe scare, the thinking part of our brain, our prefrontal cortex, kind of fires almost immediately as well and says, that's not real. And so it basically then provides that countercurrent. And at that point, you start to basically have this shift. You perceive it to not be a real threat, and your body then starts to release endorphins, and it starts to release dopamine. And so what happens is that you then get an explanation for why people feel this high. So why do people enjoy it, right? It doesn't make sense. Why would you want to go get scared? Well, it's actually kind of all the release of all these happy chemicals in the brain and in your body that then gives you that sort of euphoric feeling. And it's why actually what maybe you'll notice, you realize sometimes you go through a haunted house, or you go, I was on a hayride recently, with my significant other, and we're going, and you go through this area and you get spooked, and it could frighten you depending upon, which one you go to. And then your immediate reaction is almost like you're scared, but then you almost sometimes, without thinking about it, you'll laugh, right? So why would you laugh about something being scared? So it's that euphoric sort of sensation that then gives you that high. And then I guess when you really think about it, that plays into the sort of the question that you're asking, which is, well, why do people do it? I mean, some people are just adrenaline junkies and they feed off of that adrenaline rush, right? Some people like to probably explore psychologically these alternate worlds, if you will. Some people like the more realistic scares and things like that, and try to put themselves in a situation where they are safe, but then they're having to think about, well, how would I get out of this? How would I respond to this? And so I think that, obviously this becomes very individualized, and then people bring their own biology, they bring their own genetics and their own past experiences. And that's what makes two people react totally different to the same scare, the same movie. And it all comes together. So I think it's just fascinating how the brain works with this stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think you brought up a good point with because it's like you'll jump when you're with your friends at the haunted house, and then you all laugh together. And by the way, you're planning all week. Ooh, let's go on that hayride. Ooh, like you're signing up to be scared, and on its core base level, maybe not. You're not thinking about this, but it's because you're all signing up for that thrill. You're gonna all together go through the release of the endorphins. You're not saying that out loud. You're not thinking that consciously, but that's why it's fun to do it.
No, but you just hit on another key cool thing about this, right? So you think about it, what you just described is the social interaction, right? The social connection. When you go through something like that, like you go to a haunted hayride or you go to a haunted house with friends, with a girlfriend, with a loved one, with family, your body is releasing another chemical called oxytocin, and it enhances your social interaction and your connection. So you go through this experience with someone together. You create memories in ways that are different and enhanced. It allows you to experience things different. And sometimes you ever hear about, and it's been described this way, you go on a date to a scary movie and then you feel sort of like more of a bond and a connection and attraction. Well, that same emotional center that gets triggered in our brain that scares us, that emotional center, is also responsible for other things like anger, love. And so, your brain sometimes doesn't know how to react, and you're in there, you're forming these bonds. And that's why I guess it's sometimes not always a bad idea to go on a date night to a scary movie. Not my thing, but
it's worked for some. It's worked for some. I think it's almost like you can make the case that there's almost an addictive quality to wanting to chase these scares. It's almost you're seeking these thrills, not that different from jumping out of a plane or something like that. You're seeking the opportunity to have those jolts and to share those jolts with other people, like you mentioned.
Yeah. It's biology, right? It's that chase of those endorphins and that dopamine. It's all biology. It's a feed forward. It's what makes us feel good. It's the same high or rush that you get when you go to the gym and you get all these brain endorphins going and you feel good after you go to a gym and you work out. But to get back to your question, which I guess you posed, which is like this balance of, well, do we seek this out? Is it good? Is it something healthy? I don't know that anybody's writing a prescription for a haunted house. But I don't think there's any issues with it. I teach their own. I think the more relevant question is trying to understand also, you say, well, should we be doing this? It's the interesting part about this is the idea that it's a safe situation. It's when our brain sometimes cannot recognize that. And that's when you get people developing persistent real traumas, right? That's the difference between experiencing a real trauma versus something like this, where people hang on to and experience it in a very negative way that's unhealthy. But based on everything we talked about, you can imagine that in a way, going through these sort of things is frankly healthy for us in a way that it relieves anxiety, it relieves tension. You feel better afterwards. You frankly don't feel great going through it because it spooks the heck out of you, but it's certainly something that is a good time around this time of the year.
It's so fascinating. What about you? Are you a fan? You like going into the haunted house?
I'll tell you, I don't know. There's not much that I like about somebody kind of trying to grab you or do stuff like that. I think, there's certainly some things that don't spook me. I think the things that are probably more realistic that you could perceive to be real, not like dangerous clowns or things like that, but the things that seem like they could be realistic, a real world, so to speak. Yeah, those are the things that kind of probably would haunt me. And you know what? I'd probably take a good night of sleep over
Yeah, right.
watching one of these
You'll
movies.
find
I
your
don't need.
thrill somewhere else.
I'll find the adrenaline high somewhere else.
All right, well, there you have it. I guess being scared might actually be good for your health. Who knew? Make sure you have a happy Halloween and stay tuned for more Ask Andrew.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.